someone working in business change, I know how time-consuming creating communications can be. In this video, I'll show you how I use Canva AI to speed up the process without compromising on quality.
In this demo, I will show you how Canva can be used to create a presentation from scratch, AI assisted with Canva AI, add a brand kit to support consistency, make quick edits to images and visuals, use version history to review or revert changes, and reuse content by resizing a slide into, say, a banner or a poster or exec summary. First, I'm going to paste in here the communications I want to use to build this presentation. So if I just copy and paste that in. And as you can see, I've put the title here, which is the new digital rostering system. What you need to know. The context is we're introducing a new digital rostering system for frontline and operational teams. This will replace the current manual and spreadsheets-based process. What's changing? A new system for viewing and managing shifts, mobile access for staff, real-time updates and notifications. What this means for you: easy access to your rota anytime, fewer errors and last-minute changes, better visibility of shift patterns. When this will happen, launching from the 1st of June 2026. Action required: attend a short training session, log in and check your details, download the mobile app. Support, guidance and training materials will be available on SharePoint. So that is going to be the messaging that we're going to be using throughout this demo. The first thing you want to do now is to go down to the bottom of this box and select design. So you're asking basically Canva to create a design. We're going to say we want to produce a presentation from this information here. We're going to select the audience, which could be casual, professional or educational. In this instance, I'm going to use professional. I want the style. Let's go down here. You've got options: minimalistic, playful, organic, geometric, modular, elegant or digital. I think in this instance I may use digital. And the length, I'm going to keep it just to 1 to 5 pages for this demo. And then what you would do, once you're happy with your selection, you would then hit submit. Canva will now start to create a slide overview. So as you can see, Canva has now created several slides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you click on each of these tabs, it will expand and give you the details that will be put onto that particular slide. If you're not happy with the details and want to make amendments, just press edit page, and then you can, for example, delete what it says here and put whatever you want there. Okay. In this instance, for the sake of the demo, we're just going to proceed with what Canva has provided us with. And we're going to ask Canva to generate the design. So Canva will now proceed to create the presentation, and it often produces 2 variations that you can choose from. So let's look at the options that it's provided us with. So they've created a professional presentation about the new digital rostering system, and they've kept the presentation features clean, modern style with 5 slides covering this topic. So let's have a look what it's provided. So let's go into this one first. Let's select the next slide, the following slide. This looks fine. Looks pretty good. Go and press the arrow key. Look at okay, not bad. Let's have a look at the other option that it was providing us with. Okay, this looks quite good. Okay, very digital, I'd say, looking actually. So as you can see, you've got 2 options here. But what I'm going to do is use, I think, the first example. So let's select this one again, and what we're going to do now is select use Canva editor. The presentation will now open up into Canva, and you'll be able to make any amendments that you wish to this presentation. The first thing we're going to do is change the theme of this presentation by including our branding colours and fonts, etc. So to create a brand kit, you would need to go to the left-hand side panel here and select brand. Once you've selected brand, if I just go in here and select create new brand kit, I then will name my brand kit. So I'm going to call it Business Chain BC and AI 1. Okay, something that I remember, for example. And then that would be the name of my brand. And then here is where you can add logos. So let's add a logo here, for example. And then we're going to press save. So that's the logo that's now been saved. Now we're going to go to colors and we're going to create a color palette. So let's just make up some random color palettes. So I want to definitely have white in my color palette. So select white. And then I'm going to, and actually you can name your colors just so you remember what you selected. Here I'm going to just choose a random blue color for the sake of this tutorial. So I want that kind of blue here. So I'm going to say blue, and then I'm going to press enter. Then I'm going to change this one to, I want a grey, for example. And I'll put grey. You can actually just put your own hex code in here if you wanted, like that, and press enter. So now that's going to be our color palette for the brand kit. The next thing we're going to do is go down to the left and select fonts. And for my heading font, I want it to be Montserrat, and I want it to be bold. Actually, I'm going to use extra bold. So now anytime there's a header in this document, I can easily change that to that theme. Subheadings I will keep as pop-ins. And then body, which is most common as well as headings, I'm going to use open sans, and I'm going to select regular. Okay, and press the save button. That's then showing that all of my fonts are done. I might just actually add one for titles as well, which might be Montserrat again, but I might make it less bold. So let's go to just normal. Actually, I'll make it black. There you go. So now we have all of our fonts selected. You can do much more, like add your own brand voice and personality, photos, additional photos for your brand assets, like any elements that you used a lot within your presentations or any communications that you create, and graphics. So you can do so much more, but for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to stop at just putting in the logos, the color, and the fonts. We'll open back up that presentation. And what we're going to do now is apply some of that branding choice to this document. So if I go now to brand and I go to business change and AI 1. Now if I scroll down, I can now select the color palette and select shuffle. And when I select shuffle, you should see that the pages start to change and use the colors that I've created. So I think I will stick with this one. So to keep shuffling, you just keep pressing your mouse and clicking. Okay, so I'm going to use a blue, I think, in this instance, and choose a theme that we want to apply to the slides throughout. So for the sake of this, let's just stick with perhaps the blue, this one. So what you do is you go down to apply to all pages, and that theme should now apply throughout. As you can see, it has. Now what you can do now is change the fonts. So you can select that, select Montserrat, go to my business change in AI, and then I select Montserrat from here, and I'll say, yeah, I want to use the extra bold. So it's going to replace the League Spartan now to the Montserrat. And I'm going to say change all. So anywhere where it's using the League Spartan font, it would change now to Montserrat. So change all. And then the other thing I'm going to do is now change this. Oops, sorry. The body or subheading here to Poppins and go to change all. So anywhere where it had that previous font, it will now change to Poppins. So if you go here now, you'll see that's Montserrat. If you go to the font, it will say Poppins. If you go here now, that will say Montserrat and that will say Poppins because we've changed all of the fonts. Okay, good. Moving on. So that's how you can apply your fonts and your color. Now, obviously, if you wanted to add your logo, you can also do that. So in this instance, let's just add the logo, just make it small. Maybe we'll put it in the bottom right-hand corner. And now to make this logo be applicable on all pages, all you have to do is press Control C, and then when you go to next slide, Control V, and it will just appear in the same place on every slide. Okay, so that's how easy it is to apply your logos. So that's how we've just very quickly used a brand kit to update this presentation. Now we're going to move on and look at photos and editing. Okay, so let's make some quick edits. So right now we've got this picture here, which you might like, but you might think, it's not really going with my brand. So if you go to edit, you'll have a variety of options that will come up. First things first, just like most applications on social media, you can use filters to change the look of the photo by selecting any relevant filter here. Or what you can do is go back to the options under edit image, and you might want to say you want to change the background. So I'm going to say I want office space with very nice lighting. So I want that to be generated in the background of the picture. The more you put in, the better obviously the outcome will be from the prompt. But let's see what Canva comes up with here. Not bad. So you've got this option, that option, that option, that option. I think I'm going to stick with the first one. So already you've just seen how you can make the picture look a lot better with that background. You can do other things like remove items from someone's hand. If there was a coffee on the desk, you can use, for example, Magic Grab, and you can remove that item from the picture. Do so much more. And obviously you can make this entire picture be the background picture of this slide if you wanted to, and so on. So that's how you can easily edit, make quick edits to the visuals of a picture. The other thing you can do, say you don't like this image here, you can say, right, I want to edit this image because it doesn't work with what what you want. So let's find a picture here. So if you go down to the left hand side to Magic Media, you can say picture of a roster on a mobile device, and then press enter, and let's see what happens here. And as you can see, it's giving you some information here. If you want to keep it digital, you can. So I'm going to just, for argument's sake, put this picture in here. And as you can see, you've already changed the picture. And if you want to make it better, you just play around with the sizing of the image. and you can center it, as you can see, using the guidelines. So that's how easy it is to add a picture of your choice. Moving on, you can do a lot more with presentations, like obviously videos and animations, but for the sake of this demo, we're just looking at how we can create a nice decent presentation using our brand kits and looking at all the other things such as editing. Right, let's look at version history. Say I didn't like that last picture that I inputted there. All I need to do is go to File, go down to Version History, and then from here I can go back 1 minute ago, for example, and now you'll see that that's not there, that picture's gone, and so on. So if you ever feel like I preferred the previous version in hindsight, just go to version control. But let's go back to current version now and exit. That's how easy it is to use version control. Now this is the fun part. Business change professionals in particular that write communications may have to sometimes produce work in various different formats but with the same message. So let's show you how you can convert this presentation into various resizable content. So let's look at making one of these slides a banner. So I think let's choose this one as a banner. So you go to resize. It would come up with some suggestions automatically. If you go to see all, you'll see all the options presented to you. You've got banners, ebooks, campaigns, posters, TikTok videos, and all sorts. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use banner and say copy and resize. So what will happen, it will copy all of the slides into a banner version. Okay. And you can see them all here. Now, once it is a banner version, you will notice that you would need to make amendments to the positioning of things. So you might want to now push that up there, for example, move your text, make this bigger or smaller, etc. So make sure you have a look at what Canva has produced once you've selected your resizing options. I wanted to go back to the original and I wanted just to create one banner. You go to resize and you'll go down to where it says all pages and you'll select slide 2 in this instance. So deselect all of the pages and select page 2 and say done. Let's just go back to banner for just that particular page. So let's just look at what it does with just that selection. So if I open the medium banner, US landscape, and what we should see is just that one slide. And again, this is where you can make all your changes. You can actually say, you know, this is a new system, change the title, etc. But you don't have to now redo all the imagery, etc. It's so much more easier for you to, you know, convert. Okay, let's look at something else to resize this into. So again, if you go scrolling down here, you've got all these different options. I am going to now say transform this into a document. But what type of document? If you just click into this box, it will give you some good suggestions. So I'm going to say executive summary. So I'm asking Canva to create an exec summary from this presentation. So if I go to transform into doc, Canva would then produce me an exec summary. But bear in mind, again, you just have to make sure that you read over the content and make any relevant changes to the document. So as you can see, it's created its own executive summary here, high level, benefits, actions, summary, etc. Okay, so this is the exec summary. But if you wanted to edit this banner, you just double click on the banner itself, it will open up and then you can make the relevant edits to it. So let's add a logo, for example, and other bits. So let's have a look. So you can actually just, if you wanted, use these already made templates. But for this instance, let's just say, yeah, we're happy with that, but we want to make the writing maybe a bit smaller. So exec summaries at the top. And then we might want to move that and just put that. And digital rostering. You might want to center the writing. You might want to remove this design in the background by pressing delete. you might want to reduce the size a bit more, and then you might want to add something from your brand kit, which would be your logo here. So let's add the logo, and then we can reduce the size here. So that's just editing the banner. Again, you might want to add a picture of your choice. So you can go to photos and you can say office staff looking at a iPad with roster information, for example. And then it's going to give you some images. So in this instance, let's have a look at, let's include this one, and then you can make this a bit smaller, or you can actually make this fit in here and move this up like that. And then you can make the picture go to the back by selecting the 3 dots here, and where they are center back. There you go. Once you go center back, then you will get the information there. And then what you can do is actually make the picture a bit darker by just using transparency. There you go. So if I go save now, you'll see that is the new exec summary. So from that one document, we've created banners and an exec summary. The other thing you can do, if you go back to the original document here, you can also resize and select, for example, a poster. So look at that option. So let's say poster, and we don't want a double-sided one. Let's just say we want an educational poster, and we only want to use slide, say 3. Okay, let's use slide 3 only, and copy and resize. And we say copy and resize so that it doesn't override the original. And then you go to open poster, and as you can see, it's given us a poster. But this is, again, what I said, we would need to come in here now and edit it so that it fits on this page. So just zoom in so you can see the poster effectively. And then you just play around with, you know, the fonts and the text and the size of everything. Maybe zoom out so you can see things clearer. Again, you can make this bigger. Now, what this means for you, you might want to fold it, center it. You might want to put that picture now up here, for example, which you can. Move all this text down here. Definitely move the logo to the bottom. You might like this design still, so move the whole design down here. Move the text here. Again, make this a lot bigger by just moving it to, say, a line there and here. And then just make the text a lot bigger by pressing the plus sign up here. You might want to make the picture a bit bigger now that you've got the space to do so. And in literally less than 2 minutes, I've just created a poster. You obviously would want to adjust the spacing here to make it better, maybe use some icons and things like that, and that's where you would use the elements section in Canva to get the relevant icons to suit your poster or whatever else you're producing. Again, just make this maybe smaller, like that. And you can even make this smaller just so, or take it out altogether for the sake of this poster, and move this bit down here. And there you have it. You just created a poster, as you can see, in less than a few minutes. So the key takeaways from today is really a simple workflow. I would say start with one clear message, create one strong artifact, apply consistency using, say, the brand kit where relevant, reuse instead of recreate.
So that's how I use Canva to create change communications quickly and effectively. If you're working in business change and want to get more out of AI tools like this, I'll be sharing more practical tips and walkthroughs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. and visit www.techbiztoolkit.com.